Compaq. It used to be one of the best PC brands in the 80s and early 90s. They produced some of the first IBM compatible computers, but also some of the fastest. It is also one of the strategic partners from Microsoft, making the IBM PC compatible a standard that will no longer be only IBM's flagship, but will be a shared standard, with Microsoft products being the layer that unite all brands and their IBM PC compatible products. This is 1994 and people want computers that are easy to use, compatible with different kinds of material, and able to be a workhorse as well as a gaming rig. The Compaq Presario 425 is born from those ideas. It has a brand new 486 25 MHz processor. It has an all-in-one format, ISA expansion cards, 256 color interface and Windows 3.1. But the point of this video is not Compaq or even this particular model. The interesting thing here is the Compaq Learning Center and more specifically the Compaq Adventure game. Back in the day, learning some basics on how a computer works was common knowledge for the few that used computers. Often this was necessary as software was not user-friendly. And Compaq decided to provide an extensive user documentation directly on the computer instead of printing another huge manual. Of course there was a huge manual, but Compaq Learning Center aimed to be an educational software for all users, adult or not, who wanted to know their computer and more globally, the IBM PC compatible and Microsoft way of life. The Compaq Adventure game was part of the Compaq Learning Center. It is a point-and-click game where you discover an island solving some puzzles. I've been looking for this game for a very long time. I couldn't recall its name, and so it was really hard for me to find it. And someday, I spoke with a guy named Mollyville on YouTube. And I thank you for him for this, because really, it was incredible. This guy told me that he uploaded a disk image of the original Presario 425 or maybe the 433 model. Of course, I tried to install it on VirtualBox, and here we are. Also, I now understand why it was so hard to find this game. If you search for it, you will find almost nothing. This game looked cheap even then, and to be honest, there was a lot of interesting computer documentation with graphics back then. But this one blew my mind. It was for me to think to documentation that allowed me to understand how computers work. So here is the Compaq Learning Center. So I installed the disk image provided by Mollyville. This disk image was then installed on VirtualBox. So I can explain on a different video or make a small tutorial on how to do that, but it's quite easy. And once you launch the computer and Windows from MS-DOS 6.1, you can launch the Compaq folder here, and you get Compaq Learning Center. And once you get there, you have the Compaq Learning Adventure. You go through this little screen, and there you go! The Compaq Adventure, Dr. Techno and the search for the brigands on South Seas. Well, I'm going to put here a name. Let's say that I'm going to do a new session. Or maybe not. Let me explain you something. When you quit the game, they ask you if you want to save, if you really want to quit, okay? And if you want to save the game or to erase it. And if you say that you no longer want to, if you say that you want to erase it, it won't erase your profile, it will erase the game. So I actually had to reinstall everything to find it back. Damn. Well, let's say reason. It's not very important to most important things here is, well, you have Compaq Adventure. Here you go. So this is starting point, and well, you can read this if you want, but basically the idea is that you have some kind of story and you need to go through an island. So you have here the map of the island. If each square here is a scenario, and you can click here in order to advance. So this is the kind of games you have, okay? Question: a seal above the log reads: to unlock secrets of this scroll, enter the MS-DOS command for viewing the list of files in a directory. Type the correct command into the box above and press the enter key. So that will be dir, D-I-R. Wow, now I'm opening this thing. Sun on this side of the island wakes up too early. Want to move to the other side of the island where mountains make sun lets us sleep longer. Okay, so you can eventually go right now if you want. But if you go right, you cannot because there are mountains. So you get back here and then you can advance. And now you can find a little... I guess it was, yes, a gold coin here. So, I'm not going to show you specifically the game because, well, the colors are absolutely dreadful. I don't know why. I think it's because of VirtualBox. What is really interesting here, and that's as much part of the Compaq Learning Center, that Compaq Adventure game, is these 4 buttons. These 4 buttons are the documentation I was speaking about earlier. So if you click here, you can access to PC basics about hardware, software, and troubleshooting. You click here, and you will see what is a CPU and different kinds of information about what was a CPU back then, memory, hard drive, diskette drives, how they work. It's quite... What is amazing for me here is that you have a lot of graphics. It's not images, of course, it's not JPEG. We are talking about software that is probably 1 megabyte or 2. So this is more like the kind of drawings that you would play with on Microsoft Word back then. But what is interesting is that they are quite accurate, and it really helps you to understand what computers are, how they work, and a lot of stuff that, well, if you were a kid back then, you would just be amazed by having something like that. You can also check about Windows. So this is Windows 3.1. We are before Windows 1995. That changed a lot. So here you go. And you have a lot of information on how Windows works. Same goes for MS-DOS, with a list of MS-DOS commands, for instance. And this will be where you would learn that by typing there you can display, here you go, all the directories. And finally, this is about Presario 400 series. And so somewhat similar to what you would have here, but here it's really specific to the computer I had back then. So this was the motherboard of the computer, and as I said, the computer was an all-in-one model. So when you opened this, it was a bit like a drawer. You could take the motherboard and all the expansion cards, disk drive, and etc. out, and you would only let the computer structure with screen. Here you go. This will come out like this. You see. So what I think is quite odd is that there are a lot of people that like the Compaq brand. There are a lot of people that would love geeky stuff like this about how old computers work, and specifically with this kind of images. But when you search for this game, for this documentation on the internet, you find nothing. Nothing at all. So maybe I'm focusing on this because, well, I had like 13 or 14 years old back then, and I was really amazed by all of this. But I don't know. Maybe some of you will also find some interest in this. Maybe some of you will want to mess up with this game, install this on a virtual machine, and have some fun with it. And maybe some of you still have a Compaq Presario 425. And if you have one, I would invite you to try this on your computer, just to check if you can get colors right and have something that looks a bit better than this. Anyway, I think this can be quite fun, so give it a try and maybe play this, and maybe we'll have some fun by doing that. So there you go. And also, just another thing that was quite nice back then. If we get out, so this is the button. You should never click on it. Delete, to delete this adventure. When they say delete this adventure, they are not talking about your profile, about the save game. There is no really save game here. So if you delete the adventure, you are deleting the game actually. So don't do it. Click on exit. There you go. And I'm just going to show you quickly something else. I'll shut down Windows for this. So I have here a small game that was also provided with this computer back then. Here you go. And of course I don't have it. Oh yes, sorry. That's not what I wanted. It was this. Okay, if I do this, it should work. Yes. So this is a Compaq game. It's a copy from 4D Tennis. I think that's the original name of the game, but this is the Compaq version of it. I don't have any idea what's the answer for this. It has the same kind of protection as 4D auto stunts that would, or many other games of the time, that would ask you to input a specific word from the manual. And if you didn't have the manual, well, that would mean that you had a copied game, so something from a pirate, and then you will not be able to start the game because of this. Still, I think that practice should work here. Okay, let's just show you. So I'm just going to say, okay, that was not what I wanted. Damn. And of course I crashed. So I'm just going to reboot it. Well, this is a bit off topic of the video I wanted to do, but the interesting thing here is that this game, it's an FPS tennis game in 3D. And for that time, I think it's really, really amazing. Well, of course, I should be showing you this on a different video, or at least on DOSBox, and it will be a lot better. So let's check this out. Yeah. Okay. Practice. Okay. Not exit, but court. Turn shots. Okay. And if you go to normal. Oh, okay. Well, I don't think this will work here. So I will try to show you this on a different setup. How I could do that? Well, I think I will end the video here, and I will try to make a different one with this. It's an interesting game, but the focus here really was the Compaq adventure game, so I hope this video was not too bad. It's the first time I ever made a video like this, and as you can hear, English is not my native language, so I just hope that some geeks around there will find this interesting and maybe a bit odd, as LGR will say. Have a nice day, bye.